Your child may not be able to speak yet, but their brain is already absorbing everything you do every single day. Some actions that seem completely normal to parents can quietly make a child feel unsafe, unheard, and emotionally hurt without being able to express it. What's frightening is that most parents do these things without even realizing it. And the first thing on the list is something that happens in almost every family with a baby. When a baby cries and no one responds right away, many parents think, "It's okay. The baby will eventually stop crying." But to an infant's brain, that silence is not harmless. Every time a baby cries, without being comforted, their body releases more stress hormone, cortisol. And when this happens repeatedly, the child's developing brain slowly begins to learn something deeply painful. No one comes when I need them. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect or respond instantly every single time. But for young children, consistent responsiveness is what builds their earliest sense of safety. When you pick your baby up, hold them close, and gently respond to their cries, your child is not just being comforted. Their brain is learning the world is safe. My feelings matter. Someone will be there when I need them. But what's surprising is this. Children don't just feel whether you respond or not. They also feel how you respond. And that's the second thing quietly affecting a child's emotions every single day. A parent's stressed voice. After a long, exhausting day, lack of sleep, work pressure, emotional overload. Many parents still pick up their baby and say very normal things like, "It's okay, mommy's here. Shh, stop crying now." But what the child feels is not the words themselves. It's the emotion behind the voice. A baby's brain is extremely sensitive to tone, rhythm, and the emotional energy of their caregiver. Even a slight hint of irritation, tension, or impatience in your voice can trigger the child's nervous system. The baby may begin to feel unsafe without understanding why. What's scary is that many parents think they're too little to understand anything yet. But in reality, children are reading your emotions every day. Sometimes, just one slow breath before picking your baby up, a softer tone of voice, a calmer hug, is enough to help your child feel, "I am safe." If you've ever realized that exhaustion or stress has affected the way you respond to your child sometimes, comment one below, because you are not alone. And so many parents out there are learning how to heal alongside their children every single day. And once children begin sensing the emotions in your voice, the next thing many parents don't realize is this. Children are also trying to create boundaries for themselves. That's why the third thing that can quietly hurt a child is forcing them to interact when they don't want to. You've probably seen situations like this before. Someone comes close to the baby, talks loudly, tries to hold them, or keeps trying to make them laugh. But the baby turns away, avoids eye contact, clings tightly to their mother, or starts becoming upset. And the typical adult reaction is often, "There's nothing to be scared of. Come on, be good. Look at Auntie. Let Grandma hold you for a bit." But the truth is, when a child turns away, they are not being difficult or fussy. That is the only way they know how to say, "I'm overwhelmed. I'm not ready yet. I need to feel safer first." When those signals are repeatedly ignored, children slowly learn something very painful. My feelings don't matter. Other people can cross my boundaries whenever they want. Sometimes, loving a child is not about forcing them to be social. It's about respecting the moments when they need to pull back in order to feel safe. And when a child repeatedly feels that their emotions or boundaries are being ignored. The next thing that happens is even more silent and invisible. That is when parents begin to dismiss the child's emotions. A baby cries because someone took away their toy. A child feels frustrated because they cannot do what they want. But the common adult response is often, "There's nothing to cry about. You're fine. Stop whining." It may sound harmless, but to a young child's developing brain, this creates a deep inner conflict. Because inside, the child is genuinely feeling sad, disappointed, or afraid. Yet the person they trust the most is telling them, "That feeling is wrong. You shouldn't feel that way." Over time, children begin to doubt their own emotions. This is one reason many adults later struggle to identify their feelings, constantly suppress sadness, or feel guilty whenever they appear vulnerable. Because from a very early age, they learned that their emotions were not acceptable. What children need is not someone who immediately tries to fix their emotions. What they truly need is someone who understands and says, "Oh, you're feeling sad right now, aren't you? I know this upset you." Sometimes, simply feeling seen and understood is enough to make a child feel much safer. But when this happens again and again, a child may slowly stop showing what they feel, and that leads to the next quiet wound. It may sound completely normal, but to a young child's developing brain, this creates a deep inner conflict, because inside, the child is genuinely feeling sad, disappointed, or hurt, yet the person they trust the most is unintentionally dismissing those emotions. Over time, children begin learning how to suppress emotions. Instead of understanding them, they stop crying, not because they feel safe and calm, but because they slowly begin to believe their feelings do not matter. This is one reason many adults later grow up, always trying to appear strong, struggling to express their true emotions, or feeling guilty whenever they seem vulnerable. Because from a very early age, they became used to hearing, "You're overreacting." What children truly need in those moments is not to be forced to feel okay immediately. What they need is empathy. Sometimes, just a few gentle words like, "I know you're feeling sad. This was really disappointing for you, wasn't it? It's okay. I'm here with you," can help calm a child's nervous system. And more importantly, it teaches children that their emotions deserve to be heard, not hidden. And sadly, even when parents do not invalidate their child's emotions with words, there is something else that can still make a child feel emotionally unseen. It happens when a parent is physically present, but not truly present with their attention. The fifth thing quietly affecting children's emotional well-being every day is parents being too absorbed in their phones. You may still be sitting next to your child, still feeding them, still playing with them, but during those moments, your eyes constantly drift back to the screen. Your facial expressions become blank, your responses slow down, and little by little, the emotional connection fades. And children notice this much faster than we think. Psychological research shows that babies constantly study their parents' facial expressions to determine whether they are safe. Your face is like the very first emotional mirror in your child's life. But when you become too absorbed in your phone, that mirror suddenly feels empty, unresponsive, disconnected. What's frightening is that this happens dozens of times a day in many families, not because parents do not love their children, but because we are living in a world where our attention is constantly being pulled away. Sometimes, simply putting the phone down for a few minutes, looking directly into your child's eyes, and being fully present is enough to help your child feel, "I am seen. I matter." And when parents' attention becomes increasingly divided by phones, work, and the pressures of daily life, many begin trying to make up for it by giving their children something else: more stimulation, more toys, more sounds, more activities. But the sixth thing many parents don't realize is this: young children do not need constant stimulation to develop well. In fact, sometimes that overload quietly puts even more stress on a child's nervous system. Every single day, the TV is always on, toys play music nonstop, lights keep flashing, adults are talking constantly, phones ring, videos keep playing in the background. To adults, it feels like a normal day. But to a young child's developing brain, all of it can feel like a storm. Their nervous system is not yet capable of handling. That's why many babies suddenly become irritable, cry intensely, turn their faces away, stiffen their bodies, or cling tightly to their parents after being in crowded places or noisy environments. What's important is that many parents unintentionally respond by adding even more stimulation, rocking the baby harder, turning on another video, offering more toys, trying to distract the child immediately, when what the child actually needs most, in that moment, is calm, a softly lit room, a peaceful hug, a slower, gentler voice, a calm nervous system beside them, helping them feel safe again. Sometimes, what heals a child is not more, but less. If you've ever noticed your child's emotions change dramatically after too much noise or stimulation, comment 2 below, because many parents are beginning to realize that peace and calm are also one of the greatest gifts we can give a child. And when a child has spent so much time surrounded by noise, overstimulation, and divided attention, what they begin to need more than anything else is genuine connection. Not new toys, not educational videos, but the feeling that someone is truly stepping into my world. That's why the seventh thing many parents unintentionally miss is failing to respond to their child's small moments of connection. When a baby points toward a light, when they babble random little sounds, when they stare closely at a cat outside the window, those are not meaningless actions. That is the child's way of saying, "Mom, look at what I'm looking at. Come into my world for a moment." But so many of these moments pass by in silence. Parents are busy working, busy on their phones, or simply thinking they're too little to understand anything anyway, when in reality, these tiny interactions are what help build language, emotional security, and connection in a child's developing brain. Sometimes, just one simple response like, "Oh, you see the light over there, don't you? You really like that, kitty," is enough to help a child feel someone is listening to my world. And when a child gradually begins to feel that their world is being seen, heard, and responded to by their parents, there is something else that becomes just as important: feeling safe during separation. But many parents unintentionally do the opposite. They leave without saying goodbye. You've probably heard people say, "Just sneak away quietly, or the baby will cry." So many parents wait until the child is distracted, playing, or not paying attention, and then quietly leave the room. On the outside, this may seem like a way to avoid tears, but inside, the child's nervous system is experiencing something deeply confusing. Just seconds ago, the person who made them feel safest was still there, and then, suddenly gone. No warning, no transition, no emotional preparation at all. Over time, children can become more anxious, more clingy, and more fearful whenever they cannot see their caregiver nearby. Meanwhile, a gentle goodbye like, "Mom is going to work now, and I'll come back to you later," even if it causes a few tears at first, helps children learn something incredibly important. The people I love come back. I am not being abandoned. And for a child to truly believe they are not being abandoned, there is something incredibly important that many people often underestimate: physical connection. The ninth thing is the lack of small moments of affectionate touch each day. Many parents believe that as long as their child is fed well, sleeps well, and is properly cared for. That is enough. But for young children, a hug, a gentle hand rubbing their back, or simply being held close to a parent are also powerful signals of safety. When children are cuddled and touched gently, their bodies begin to calm down. Their heartbeat becomes steadier. Stress levels begin to decrease. But sadly, in the busyness of everyday life, many of these small moments of connection slowly disappear. Fewer hugs, less holding, less physical closeness, and sometimes, what a child needs most is not more toys or more activities, but simply the feeling of being close to the people they love most. And after everything we've talked about, there is one final thing that affects children more deeply than all the rest. It happens when parents are physically present, but emotionally exhausted. The 10th thing is emotional unavailability from parents. There are parents who still take care of their children every day. They feed them, change diapers, comfort them to sleep. But inside, they are carrying exhaustion, pressure, anxiety, or even wounds that have never fully healed. And children can feel it. Because babies do not only sense your actions, they also sense the emotional energy you bring into the room. When parents are constantly stressed, emotionally empty, or disconnected from themselves, children can gradually begin feeling unsafe too, without even understanding why. But the most important thing to remember is this: you do not need to become a perfect parent. Children do not need perfection. What children truly need is a parent who keeps trying to reconnect after difficult moments. A hug after losing patience, a gentle apology, a moment of truly listening to your child. Those are the things that build emotional safety in a child's heart, because in the end, what children remember most is not how many times you were perfectly right, but whether they felt loved, safe, and understood. If this video helped you see your child in a different way, please like and share it so more parents can better understand what is truly happening inside the emotional world of young children. And don't forget to subscribe, because the next video may help you understand the things children have never been able to put into words.